You know, it's one of those videos. It's currently 4:30 in the morning. It's War Thunder. We're back to discussing some important topics, and I don't really do these videos because I try to focus on the fun and having fun within video games. Why? Because I've dealt with the negativity train, and that's really what's killed my enthusiasm to create, content for you guys. It's not a matter of who or what or why, it's just all sorts of factors. Not only am I writing and editing and creating 3 documentaries, I'm also writing a book. If you want to find out more about that, you can watch my recent Crash with Ash. I'll link it into the cards above. But welcome back to War Thunder. This is probably the second War Thunder video you're going to see this week. I've been wanting to talk about this for a while now. A lot of other creators have touched on this topic, and it's talking about the grind problem. Something that is inherent within War Thunder that sort of needs to be addressed. Now, from my personal point of view, right, I've been here for 8 years. Well, going on 8 years. This will be my 8th year. I've been going on 7 years. I'll say 8 years, objectively, because, round up the number, it sounds better, more impressive. But, generally speaking, I'm going to show you today what 7 years of grinding on and off casually. Keep in mind that I am playing this game casually, not as hardcore as I used to. Now, obviously, I'm in love with the Mirage, and before we go anywhere, I have to show you that I have a heap of new skins. I'm going to link the skin creator down below. He has done a fantastic job, as well as, well, of course, you have to have your own Ash skin, don't you? But yeah, with that out of the way, I'm going to show you some of my tech trees. We're going to start left to right, starting with America and finish in Sweden. We're also going to present some data for aircraft-wise, and we're only going to be talking about the unlockable aircraft that you can get in tree. This excludes event vehicles and obviously the premiums. Tier 1 starts off with 18 vehicles. I have all 18. Rank 2, we have 17 vehicles. I have all 17. Rank 3 is a fun tier, but a bit of an annoying one. 19 vehicles. Same with Rank 4, there are 19 vehicles at Rank 4. I have all of the Rank 4s. Rank 5 is particularly interesting. We have 12 Rank 5s. That's quite a lot, but that used to be the end of the tier brackets. However, there's now a new rank and some new jets as well. And we finally progress on to Rank 6. Now, I have not done any grinding into this. A lot of this is 380,000. It takes immense amount of time. Just to get the RP in order to grind some of these things is ridiculous. And I understand a lot of you do it, and a lot of you gold it, and people are dedicated. But as someone who plays the game casually, it's kind of demoralizing, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But I have 9 aircraft left to go. There are 10 total at Rank 6. Germany's much in a similar state. We've basically got everything. However, Germany has one of the most amount of vehicles at Rank 1, second to the USSR. There are 25 vehicles at Rank 1. There's quite a lot of vehicles in here in these lists. And sort of the brackets don't really cover it all. But that's fantastic. Rank 2, there is 24. That's quite a lot of aircraft, again, a lot of RP. But again, as you come into Rank 3, things start to slow down, they start to thin out. There are 18 vehicles here, I've got all 18. Rank 4, we have 19 vehicles, and Rank 5, we have 12. Now, I don't have very many of the aircraft at Rank 6, however. There are, 6 vehicles here, and I need, how many is it? 5 of them. So there you go. Russia, much the same. This is the most out of any nation to have any sort of amount of vehicles. There is a stupid amount of vehicles in here, thanks to the SB2Ms and the same sort of reserve vehicles that they have. 26. It is the most out of any nation, and it's quite a lot of aircraft to get through. I've got all of them. Rank 2, there is 19 vehicles. Rank 3, there are 17 vehicles. Rank 4, we have 19. Rank 5, we have, I believe it is, 14 vehicles here. And again, Russia is really one of those interesting tech trees. And again, we run into a hard wall. Once you grind through Rank 4, it becomes a solid wall. And this sort of tends to push you up. Now, granted, I did get given the MiG-19 PT when it first came out. What an absolute beast. However, it's no longer necessarily that competitive due to the missiles, but the aircraft itself is bloody fantastic. I've still yet to get all these other stuff as well as the new aircraft, which means that I still have 4 aircraft in USSR to go. And again, you're seeing sort of a similar pattern? Great, let's continue. Britain is much the same. I've got most of everything. Britain has 15 rank 1s, 14 rank 2s. It has 14 rank 3s as well, just to make things a little more confusing. Rank 4 is where it starts to get a little more. We're getting 19. This is the highest out of any sort of vehicle lineup here. Most nations usually have under 10 to 15. Britain has the most here. Rank 5 is 14 vehicles, and rank 6 is 7, which means that I have 4 aircraft that I need to get left and Britain. Japan is one of those weird nations. At rank 1 they have 14 aircraft. I've got all of them. At rank 2 they have 25 vehicles. This is the most out of any country in terms of unlockable vehicles, second to Germany with 24. At rank 3 they have 18, one of the lowest amounts that you can get in terms of a major nation. Rank 4 is really sort of sparse. This is where it starts to thin out. We're at 14 vehicles. Rank 5 there is 7. And at rank 6, there are 3. Now, I have 3 aircraft left to go. They're all 380,000, 390,000. Let's go on to China. China is an interesting nation. You could consider it to be copy-paste, but at the same time, it's hearsay at this point in time. 11 vehicles at rank 1, 8 vehicles at rank 2, 6 vehicles at rank 3, and a heap of vehicles at rank 4. This is 7 vehicles at rank 4. 7 vehicles. This is going to be a pain. I've been trying to grind China out slowly. It's probably my least complete aviation tech tree. It is kind of a pain. Italy. Italy is a fantastic nation. I love Italy so much. It is 15 vehicles at rank 1, and there is a heap to choose from. It's a fantastic selection. Rank 2, there's 12. Rank 3, there is 7. Rank 4, you sort of move on to this 8 bracket, and then it just drops down to 4 vehicles per tier after that. So, 4 at rank 5 and 4 at rank 6. I'm only missing 2 aircraft. The F-86K, which I'm not too pleased at unlocking again after having unlocked the French one, and the F-104S as well. France is an interesting nation. France has possibly, I guess, the more unique vehicles, but at the same time it's a bit hodgy-podge like most nations at the moment. 16 vehicles at rank 1, 7 at rank 2, fantastic rank selection of rank 3s, 7 at rank 3, 7 at rank 4, 7 at rank 5. It is the most consistent in terms of numbers and even sort of laid out structure here compared to any other nation. And lastly, at rank 6, there are 5 vehicles. Now, I have no other aircraft I need to unlock. That means this is the first nation that I have completed, mainly thanks to Mirage, but don't tell anyone. Sweden was one of the more enjoyable nations to unlock. Why? Because there wasn't a lot to unlock in the first place. There's 5 rank 1s, there were 4 rank 2s, there were 3 rank 3s, there were 5 rank 4s, and then at rank 5 we have 6, and finally at rank 7 we have 4. Now I need 1 aircraft left, that's the A32A, then I'm complete on Sweden. But as you can sort of see, let me run through some of the other basic numbers here. In total, at rank 1, for every single, if you were to get every rank 1 in War Thunder, there is 145 aircraft to go. At rank 2, there is 130 aircraft. At rank 3, there's 109. At rank 4, there's 117. It drops down a bit, but the RP cost significantly increases at rank 5. There are 83. And at rank 6, there are 50 jets for you to unlock. 50 jets. In total, there are 634 aircraft that you can get and can unlock within the tech trees of War Thunder. That is an insane amount, and I need 40 of them, and most of them are at top tier. That includes a ridiculous amount of grinding and a ridiculous amount of RP and credits to purchase these things. Right? It's not necessarily the time investment here that is the big kicker. It's more the amount of battles you have to play to unlock one vehicle. Like on average, you might get 10,000 research points per battle. Depends on how well you do in jets. If you're a god, if you're an average player like me, you're averaging between 3,000 and 4,000 a match, depending on what you do. You can get a kill here or there, but the repair costs start to add up. This is where the real time investment hits you. Now, I've been playing the game on and off for the last 7.5 years. Granted, I like to say 8 years just because, well, that's just who I am. But at 1 million silver lions each for some of these types of vehicles, it does get kind of pricey. Plus, you've also got to crew slot these. So if I go and crew slot my, my FJ4, it's only 290,000, but it's an 8.7. If I go to crew well, it's 300,000 to crew an F4 Phantom, but it's also 1 million silver. Granted, what is that? 1,300,000 is 3,000 GE. And, I mean, I guess if that's what you're willing to spend, you're willing to spend it. But even that being said, like, we recently I guess this is a little bit off track here, but there is a new squadron vehicle, and it's 520,000 squadron research points. This is only indicating at where the game is going. If you think 390,000 is a lot, just wait until that next bracket happens again. This, the BMP-2M, is possibly the most expensive vehicle we have in game. 290,000 to crew slot and 1.14 million to buy. It's ridiculous. And if you think that's sort of odd or sort of, I guess, abnormal, think about the game's future. Think about where it's going. Think about the sort of things that are coming. I'm hinting very hard at sort of some things which I can't necessarily say what or why because I'll get in trouble. Think of stuff like Frogfoot, SU-25s, SU-33s, A-10, Vigans, more Mirage 2000s, Cold War bombers, Strat bombers, interceptors. These are the things that could be considered to be added. It also begs the question of why go through this sort of tech tree balance. Why do they have tiers 1 to 5, and then at rank 5 it's Korea versus, certain different other types of aircraft? Why do they do, World War II and then end at World War II? So you have your 262s versus your Meteors, your P-80s, and whatever other aircraft any other nation could field. Then you split it up, and rank 6, 7, 8, or 9, and 10 could be filled with just Cold War and 90s era aircraft. Why not? You split it into eras. You split each rank into sort of a different thing. So you know that rank 6 is Korean War, rank 7 is Vietnam War, rank 8, for example, or rank whatever. It just makes a little more sense. Then you can justify the amount of time it would take to grind out, 2 different variants of the same vehicle. Because at top tier, most of everything is just missile, 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 missile anyway. And I kind of don't like that. 634 aircraft unlocked. Keep that in mind. You split it up a little bit. So between the two of them, there's... I don't know. It's a bit weird. War Thunder needs to think about its future. Surface-to-air missiles are coming to ships. We know bigger ships are coming, but we also know submarines are coming. There's a lot on the table, and War Thunder needs to address either bigger maps, bigger issues, bigger things. This is War Thunder. They want you to grind. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing, and I'm not saying this is a negative thing. This keeps you on track. This keeps you focused, so to speak. This keeps you engaged with the game, because most top-tier matches, let's be honest, are roughly 6 to 7 minutes long, on average. So, have a think about what you'd sort of like to see. Have a think about the sort of things that are happening at the top end. Think about the maps, the way the game is working, the way the game mechanics are currently, and decide for yourself whether it is ultimately worth it. Now, I will probably be doing a separate video addressing all the numbers for how much RP it requires and how much XP, how much credits. There hasn't been an updated one since about, I think, 4 years ago. Someone did all the calculations and all the math on this. I'm probably going to sit down and do the same if I'm bored enough, and it looks like I'm going to be bored enough to do this. I'll go through all the premium vehicles, I'll go through all the event vehicles, I'll go through everything like that. It's going to take a while because I don't have necessarily everything, but I guess it comes down to personal preference here. War Thunder has a core amount of issues. We have older style maps that aren't being updated to the current regulations. We have mixed battle attitude and realistic. Your simulator battles basically don't exist unless you're talking about certain select events. Ships in a whole are a laughable joke. There's no bomber cockpits. There's no sort of specialised weapon systems like flares, chaffs, those sort of instruments that can come out of all aircraft, right? There's obviously the RWR and all these other different things, which I have no idea what I'm talking about. My knowledge extends to World War II props and a couple of jets, that's it. And that's where I like to keep my knowledge base. But the game is evolving. It's getting quicker and quicker at top end. We could see BVR missiles now, 20 kilometre plus soon. We could see, I guess, SAMs at airfields, right, instead of the anti-air gunners. There's a huge amount of things that could happen. There could be more Cold War tanks. I mean, we've already got the Abrams, for fuck's sake, and the variants of those Abrams. What about the Tusk version of the Abrams? What about, I guess, the different versions? Aircraft is really the last sort of bastion. And again, this is what was brought up on the game. It started with aviation. It should probably finish with aviation. But Gaijin's continuous improvement plan, it just indicates to me that, well, they basically decide the patches a year in advance. They develop content a year in advance. We know that much. They add special content occasionally for event vehicles, and they develop those on a side-by-side basis. But Gaijin really only develops its own game, War Thunder. It's now a publisher, so it's now focusing on games like Enlisted, Crossout, Star Conflicts, and a host of other smaller indie game titles that they're working alongside with. So just put a thought into where War Thunder will be in 8 years' time. Think about, are you going to be playing the game in 8 years' time? I don't know. I reached a point 2 years ago where I didn't want to continue playing War Thunder, but I'm here because there's no other game like it. There's no other game where I can casually fly a boomerang around. There's no other game where I can just casually fly a swordfish around. Granted, IL-2 tends to be a bit this way, and you can mod it. And there are other games that are fantastic fun. But if I want a casual fix, and I want my sim arcade kind of experience, I come to War Thunder. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you learnt something today. If you didn't, you probably just listened to me rant and, I guess, not necessarily propose any solutions to the game. So, let me specify here. Research points need to go down, and granted, they did change them a bit. The repair costs need to be lowered if they're going to keep the same price and keep the same RP cost. I get that's how they balance vehicles. Let's not talk about some of the other stupid shit that they've done with Italy, right? Let's have a look here. G56, 68,000. That thing's bloody stock as well. It's a 6.0. At 6.0, that thing's barely competitive compared to its cousin, which is the G55S, which is 4.7. Only has 10,000 repair cost. And it's probably better because it can hold a torpedo. So, it's food for thought. Ever considering that bombers are utterly and completely useless as well. There's a whole host of different worms and different things that you could unpack here. Not just related to aviation, but ground forces. Even naval. The problem here is not necessarily that War Thunder isn't a good game. It's the fact that they've got so many different entities and things they're working on at once. The community is rather divided in all the game modes and in what they specifically like. For example, tanks, helicopters, aircraft, or ships. Divide that between the different modes, arcade, realistic, sim, or the event. You've got a catalyst that needs to sort of be fixed and addressed. There's too many issues, too many places, and that's about it. Alright, my name is Ash, thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.